Now, without any further ado, I would like to introduce to you one of our favorite association allies, George Kennedy. He is a seasoned landscape professional with over 20 years of experience in the green industry. He brings a unique blend of technical experience and business acumen to every project. Backed by a bachelor's degree in business and a comprehensive portfolio of state and industry certifications. Throughout his career, George has specialized in sustainable landscape solutions, irrigation efficiency, pest management, and outdoor lighting systems. He is widely recognized for his commitment to environmental stewardship, client satisfaction, and industry best practices. He holds a lot of credentials: the Florida Certified Horticultural Professional. He is certified with the Florida Green Industry Best Management Practices. He's a commercial landscape maintenance pesticide. He has a license. Florida Certified Pest Control Operator, a Florida WaterStar accredited landscape professional, a Florida WaterStar accredited irrigation professional, NDS professional drainage contractor, CAS certified landscape lighting installer, AMP certified landscape lighting installer. George continues to be a driving force in advancing professional standards across Florida's landscape industry, offering practical and sustainable solutions to commercial communities, commercial properties, residential communities, and environmental restoration projects. George and his team are a pleasure to work with. We could not recommend them more. Welcome, George Kennedy with Terra-scape.
Good morning. Thank you, Diane, for that nice introduction. It's very comforting to know that I'm the only thing standing between you guys and lunch. So let's go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about the fall budget opportunity. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Fall Into Planning, How to Maximize Your Landscape Budget Before Year End. As Diane mentioned, I am George Kennedy, and I am excited to guide you through some actionable strategies that will help get the most out of your landscape dollars before the year wraps up and to prepare smartly for the 2026 season. Also, as mentioned, this course is approved for 1 CE credit for licensed CAMs in the state of Florida. By the end of this session, you will be able to evaluate how your current landscape budget is performing, strategically plan for Q4 spending, set your association up for success in the year ahead. So let's talk about timing. Many associations, Q4 is a use it or lose it season. Unspent landscape dollars may not roll over. Fall planning helps communities avoid waste, get vendor attention before the spring rush, and make improvements that boost both property value and resident satisfaction. Next slide, please. Why do landscape budgets go underutilized? So why do communities fail to fully use their landscape budget? There's a few reasons. The first is vendor delays. Most landscape companies are booked out generally 30 to 60 days. A lot of associations don't realize this when they engage a landscape company. So in your budget timeline, you should always expect this and prepare for it. The second reason is, and I'm sure nobody has ever heard this before, but it takes too long for a board to make a decision. Our typical experience is for approval for a landscape project for an association that we currently work with is about 45 days. For an association where we have not worked with them before, that time is doubled. So it's about 3 months to get an approval for an association we haven't worked with before. I would expect that that's probably true of most projects that get put in front of boards. And then the final reason is that a lot of people believe that landscaping really only happens in the spring, and that's in Florida especially, that's a really big misnomer. Landscaping can be installed virtually year-round in Florida. So when we delay, we lose seasonal planting opportunities. Prices often go up. So if you think about a project that might cost you $10,000 in October, that could be $12,000 or more in February. Also, many associations skip mid-year reviews. And that's really a missed opportunity because doing a review in July or August will prepare you to make decisions in the fall that can help you correct course, assess performance, and plan smarter. Next slide, please. So let's talk about some smart strategies for Q4. The first thing I want to talk about are small wins that can show quick visual improvements. So we're talking about things like fresh mulch, seasonal color, tree trimming, entryway lighting. These are all examples of things that you can make. They're quick, easy upgrades. They're visible, they're impactful, and they're budget friendly. So they're perfect for leftover funds without needing full capital project planning. Some ideas to extend your budget. Ask for bundled pricing. A lot of times we'll offer discounts if you're going to do multiple projects at once. Off-season pricing. Typically, vendors will be less busy in the fall months, so from November through December, January. So they may be incented to provide you with better pricing in the off season. Another opportunity is to replace high maintenance plants with something that is drought tolerant or is a native species. And then finally, a fresh entry bed or color pop at the clubhouse can give residents a sense of renewal, and it reflects well on your management. Next slide, please. So planning ahead, laying the groundwork for 2026. Go back one slide. There we go. Fall is not just about finishing the year out. It's time to plan for the 2026 year. So you want to assess the property now while it's still in active use. So what I mean by that is, how are the residents using the property on a daily basis? What are the walking patterns on the property? Which areas are getting used the most? Which areas are getting avoided? That's the first thing that you want to look at. It's also a good idea to do a visual walkthrough and take photos. Use data like plant health assessments. So what I recommend in this instance is, instead of going in and looking at each plant individually and saying, well, this is good, this is bad. Look at your plants in terms of grouping. So you might have a front entryway, or you might have a pool area. And then assign, we like to call it a stoplight measurement. So you want to assign each area of your landscape either a red, a yellow, or a green. So a red would be in desperate need of repair. This should be something that we tackle within the next 12 months. Yellow would be something that is, we can live with it for a little bit of time. So this is probably more like an 18 to 36 month. And then a green is the stuff that you're doing well now. And you don't want to ignore that. You just want to understand no need for major improvements are necessary, but we do want to make sure that this is maintained properly, in the long term, so that it continues to, so we continue to get the benefits from it. Irrigation system audits are a great opportunity, especially in the off season. Going through a system and determining if there's any deficiencies and ways to improve it are great ideas. And then drainage checks. Drainage checks are best to perform shortly after heavy rains, because you can, while the rain is still percolating into the ground or still trying to find its way into the storm drains, you can determine where the areas are that might need the most improvement. So these assessments can help avoid guesswork when budgeting. I also recommend don't pull numbers from last year. Create a budget based on the conditions today. So you should ask several questions during that process. What is different this year in our landscape? So have there been any construction projects that have damaged the landscaping? Are there any dead or dying plants on the property that should be addressed? Are there resident requests for landscape improvements that should be considered? Those are all examples of things to consider. Most vendors are flooded with RFPs in January. Start the process in fall and you'll get better responses, better pricing, and you'll have time to compare options between multiple vendors. Okay, evaluating current vendor contracts. Fall is the ideal time to review your vendor's performance. So ask yourself, are the services on schedule? Is the quality consistent? Are the residents happy with the way that our grounds look? It's also a good idea to document everything. Keep photo logs, maintenance reports, and resident feedback. That builds your case for renewals or changes. I also strongly suggest doing an in-person walkthrough with your vendor. Ask them to point out areas that they think need attention. It builds accountability and collaboration. So each month, we have an account manager that will walk through and do an assessment of the property on his own. And at Terra-scape, we always invite the property manager to join us on that walk. It's something that we found. I'd say 30 to 40% of property managers will walk with us. Maybe not every month, but certainly every other month or at least once a quarter, just to get eyes on some of the things. We found that this is very educational because this is a good opportunity to spot problems before they really become a big issue. So next slide, please. So preparing for next year's proposals. When preparing for next year's proposals, don't rush. Use the fall to build a checklist of needed items. Involve the landscape committee or the board or both. Survey residents for feedback on the community appearance. When you're creating the proposals, you want to be specific. Instead of saying enhance the landscaping at the entrance, you want to say install low maintenance seasonal color with drip irrigation at both entrance signs. Early RFPs equal better pricing, especially before spring short labor shortages hit. Next slide, please. Okay, how to prioritize projects for maximum impact. Ask yourself what projects will improve the visual appeal, enhance safety or access, align with reserve study timelines, reduce long-term costs. You want to make sure that you don't spread your budget too thin. You want to focus on areas of high visibility. Those are entryways, pool and clubhouse areas, roadsides near main signage. You always want to link your landscaping back to your community's strategic goals, whether that's curb appeal or safety or sustainability. Next slide, please. You want to create a landscaping RFP with purpose. Strong RFP includes a clear scope of work, a targeted timeline, a budget range, desired qualifications or licenses. You also want to avoid vague languages. Contractors can't read your mind. You also want to make sure that all bids have the same scope so you're comparing apples to apples. References. You always want to ask for references and not just any references. You want to ask for references that are recent. You also want to encourage innovation with your vendor. Ask them to come up with ideas that can improve the association and let them be the creative ones. Also, there might be ways that they can come up with ideas to save money on a particular project. Let your vendors know that you value beyond the basics. You also want to ask for credentials. How long have they been in business? Do they have photos of completed projects that are similar? What sort of industry credentials do they possess? How do they train their crews? Those are all examples of things that should be in an RFP. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so I want to open it up for questions. Ask if anybody has any real world experiences they want to share. Has anybody ever lost funding because they didn't get the funds used by year end? Have you ever had success getting better pricing by starting early, as an example? Once we're done with the Q&A period, then we will move straight into our course wrap up and our 10-question quiz.
Okay, we have a question from John. Is there a model landscaping RFP available for review?
Yes. And I can send that to Diane and Lindsay so that they can send it out as a follow-up to you guys.
Absolutely. Good question, John, and that'll be good for everybody attending. I opened up the chat so that you can type in your questions into the Q&A or into the chat. While we have George, our professional, with us today, let's use him. Lindsay, any questions before we go into the eval?
Not specifically, but questions might come up as we go through these questions. So,
Yeah. Okay, let's go through them and then you guys can ask questions at the end as well.
oh, hold on.
Here's
Okay.
one that popped in, sorry. Any recommendations about care after a storm?
Um, yes. So you want to assess storm damage. That includes flooding. You want to see if there's anything that is irreparably damaged, meaning that it's not likely to be saved. Um, Other than that, you want to just keep an eye on stuff. A lot of stuff gets wind whipped during hurricanes, but it looks bad, but it doesn't have a detrimental effect to the health of the plant. So I always encourage people to take it slow when you're coming out of a storm and getting everything back into shape.
Okay, let's go through the eval and see if any questions that sparks any questions.
Okay, next question, next slide, Lindsay. Okay. What is one key benefit of using leftover landscaping funds in Q4? Diane, are we answering these in the or no? Just
I think we should just go through them and then that way everybody can mentally think of the answer and then see if they're right.
okay.
Thank you.
So what is the one key benefit of using leftover landscaping funds in Q4? Next slide, please. That is A, avoid budget forfeiture. Question number 2. What is a smart Q4 landscaping investment? I would think that some people might say all of these, but the real answer for our class is holiday lighting setup. Next question. Why is vendor evaluation in fall important? To prepare for contract renewals. What should a landscaping RFP prioritize? Community needs and goals. Which of the following is a fall preparation tip? Review current landscaping performance. How can boards ensure vendor alignment with community needs? Engage in vendor walkthroughs like we discussed earlier. What is the consequence of unspent landscaping budget? money may be lost, might be taken away, and you might not get it next year. And what we see sometimes is that the landscaping budget for next year might also be decreased because they think you didn't need to spend the money. So that's another consequence.
And real quick, I'm sorry to jump in, but they're asking if you could just slow down a little bit so that they can read all the answers. We love
Sorry.
the participation, Kim. Thank you.
Okay. Fall planning helps communities by C, securing better vendor pricing. An example of a proactive fall activity is auditing irrigation systems. What is one strategic advantage of Q4 landscaping upgrades? Seasonal discounts. Okay, everyone, thank you for attending. In order to get your credit for this class, Diane, do you want to go through this?
Yep. So everybody, I just put into the chat. If you are a CAM, you're going to want to email Lindsay, and you can either cut and paste the information out of the chat. You can take a picture with your phone of the screen, or you can screenshot it on your computer. One of those three ways will work. Make sure to email Lindsay your name as it appears on your license. I always say this, like if your name is Richard, don't put Rick, put your full name just so that it doesn't get kicked back, and your CAM license number. Email Lindsay and she will get your certificate from Terra-scape and also submit it to the DBPR, the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. We highly recommend that you contact Terra-scape for any of your landscape needs. They are one of the best in the business, if not the best in my opinion. And we just love working with George and his team. And by the list of credentials that they have, you can tell that there's passion in what he does in his industry, and that translates for his whole team. He's also great at answering questions and providing bid opportunities. You all are coming up on budget season here in the next couple months, and we know that best practices are getting 3 bids. So we would love for you to include Terra-scape in that process. If we don't have any other questions, we can break early for lunch.
I'm going to pop in for 1 second because I got a couple emails. If you are attending for the continuing education credit and you are going to be attending more than one of our courses today, unfortunately, you do need to email me each time because we have to keep track for the DBPR of your attendance to each one. So if you don't mind, just send me an email after each course letting me know that you attended that one so that I can keep that for our files.
Any other questions before? Oh, we do have, let's see. Oh, it was just a thank you. Thank you, Jose. Okay, guys, we're going to break for lunch. The next CE is legal update about collection strategies. It's going to be at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and that will conclude our webinar Wednesday for this month. George, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you all for being here.